What's up, Saints and Aints? Welcome back to another episode of Music and Makeup. This is a special segment I like to call Behind the Beat, where I sit down with artists who are making serious noise in their lanes. Today, I have two very special guests joining us. One is a producer who has carved out his name in hip-hop with placements with Westside Gunn, Conway the Machine, Papoose, Elzhi, and so many more. He's also the creative force behind the brand new project M.E.M.O.I.R.S with Jamil Honesty. And together, they've created one of the most cinematic and cohesive underground albums out right now, known for its boom bap, heavy sound, and its ability to bring out the best in both of them. Welcome to the podcast, JR Swiftz and Jamil Honesty. Welcome to both of you all. I'm just going to jump in and ask really both of y'all. I'm going to start with JR. How did you get your start in production?
Well, my father is a producer as well. So kind of just seeing him do his thing inspired me to do mine. You know, eventually seeing him work with Papoose early on, being in the studio, seeing him work with Coogee Rap, seeing him work with AZ. So I kind of been around before I've been around. So that's how I kind of got my start.
All right, and Jamil, how'd you get your start rapping?
Just becoming a fan of it, particularly with the Tribe Called Quest when they dropped Scenario. That was a song that there was a battery put in my back for me to just start rhyming. So ever since then, I've been doing it.
So now, JR, you grew up in Brooklyn and then moved to Virginia. What part of Virginia did you move to?
So I moved to the beach. No, I'm lying.
Okay.
I originally moved to Newport News, and then I grew up the rest of the way basically in Virginia Beach. So yeah.
Okay. I'm also from Virginia Beach. Okay, I just wanted to get that clear because yeah, because some people say, some folks have been telling me Brooklyn, and I'm like, I swear JR Swiftz is from Virginia Beach, but okay, I'm right. Okay, so how did those? You know, I'm always trying to put somebody with us. How did those two places shape your ear for music and the way that you approach production?
I mean, of course, like Berkeley is my first home, but I mean, just the whole aesthetic, the griminess, the part of New York that I grew up from a little bit was East New York. If you know about East New York, at the time it was industrial. It was like it was no man's land. Like it was crazy. But the airs, that's where the dirt, the griminess, and everything kind of came from. Then more of the sunshine, the different pockets is when I moved out here to VA. And going to I went to Prince's Inn. So I went to Prince's Inn, and then Pharrell graduated I think 92, 93, and then me graduating in 2010. Like listening to Pharrell, listening to Neptunes, listening to Timbo, just being inspired by that. And one side of me could be musical, the other side could be just straight to the point, boom bap. So I was able to shape both sides of the coin.
Okay, and Jamil, you're from Baltimore.
By way of Staten Island, New York, yeah.
By way of Staten. Okay, so how'd that come about?
Well, my mother wanted a better life for myself and my brother, so we moved from Staten Island to Baltimore. It just so happened that things are kind of like the same, if not worse. But So I mean, of course, with me being from Staten Island, of course, you got the Force MDs, you got Wu-Tang, UMCs and stuff like that. So they were heavily, a heavy influence upon what I do now. And then this coming to Baltimore, even though it's a little southern, but it's still inspired or influenced by the North. You know what I'm saying? Philly's right up the street. New York is only 3 hours away. New Jersey, so like it's still East Coast. So you had a lot of MCs and a lot of producers down here, kind of like doing the same thing people from New York was doing. So it wasn't that much of a culture shock.
Now, for JR, your father was a producer too. What are some of the lessons and habits that you picked up from him that may still influence your production today?
He's super big on analog. Right, so just not only just analog, having pieces of equipment, but also I would say trying to learn my skills with the piano, something I can implement. I ain't gonna lie, so I took a class, right? I took a class in PA, took a class music theory, and I failed music theory. because it was like a foreign language. I'm like, I don't get, shout out to Mr. Boyd, but I couldn't. The language just was so foreign to me. But years later, let me rethink this process and start learning the keys and what's equivalent to what, so on and so forth. So definitely my pops early on influenced me to learn my way on the keyboard, because at the time you had to learn some type of piano skills. I mean, now it's different. You don't hear a lot of musical producers now, like the Stargates, your Brian Michael Cox, you really don't hear a lot of Dark Child. So the game is not really as musical no more. It's just find your lane, find your way, and just get busy. So turned out it made me got nice with the bass lines. That's really about it.
Do you feel like that is that like an advantage for you, that you have that musicality to you? How do you use that like to your advantage in your music?
Yeah, when I'm picking samples, like when I'm going through, I'm listening to like certain sounds, how weird it is, how just musical it may be. It could be a trumpet going crazy, a saxophone. I love piano, so it could just be a piano out of key a little bit. It could just be anything that's kind of weird. Like I'm just unorthodox like that. I could just listen to something that's so crazy, then I'm like, let me go see I could chop that up. It could be like a couple bars of a loop, and I could just chop it and just do something crazy to it. So it helped me in that aspect to pick different instruments to kind of go off of.
Your production credits include Westside Gunn, Conway, Papoose, Elzhi, and a whole lot of other people. Which placement felt like the real turning point in your career?
It's true. I think the Elzhi album with him was the turning point, and I think this album with me and Mill like solidified a lot more, because unfortunately, whether you're an MC or a producer, people kind of want to box you in, right? So doing stuff with West and them, that's only one side of what I could do. That's my New York side. That's when I'm in the basement, Tim's on, the Army Fatigue. It's that vibe. See what I'm saying? But the 85-90% of me, something soulful, a little more cool, laid back, give flyness and all of that. That's where I'm in the bag with Mill, or I'm doing something with Elzhi, or anybody like that has even with Skyzoo, somebody who has an elite pen. That's me being musical and trying different things and different pockets. But with West, straight to the point, hard drums, so I would say definitely the Elzhi project, and then me and Mill is like the turning point.
So Jamil, I wanted to ask, when was like the moment that you decided to start taking, rapping seriously, like that you decided you were going to make this a career?
And when I was 14, 1993.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's okay. Look.
yeah. Oh yeah, I know it's okay. yeah. So,
No, because what did you say, 93? I was 13 too. So.
nah. So
13 too.
yeah. So I moved around a lot as a kid. So at the time when Wu-Tang came out, prior to that, like maybe a year before that, my cousin who lived in Staten Island, he was connected with them some kind of way, but he bought a VHS tape down to Baltimore. It was like, yo, these dudes from Staten Island, they getting ready to blow up. Blah, 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 blah. I wasn't paying it no mind. I was 13 at the time. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. And so I moved to North Carolina. I'm watching Rap City. Well, those videos came on Rap City. So it was Shaheem, On, and Protect Your Neck. So once I saw that, I was already rhyming. Once I saw that, it was like, yo, if these dudes can make it from the forgotten borough that everybody kind of squats on, without cursing, you know what I'm saying, and everybody kind of like pushes to the side, I could do it too. So ever since then, it's just been tunnel vision.
Oh, JR, have you been surprised how an artist has used one of your beats? Like maybe they've used it in a different way that you'd imagine?
Yeah, I would say like Juicy J. Like growing up listening to him, like Slap with My Knob and a couple other records, right? So to hear him jump in a different bag and replaying it, right? So the joints I did for him, a lot of it was like live instrumentation. So to hear my beat flip that way and him rapping on it, like I can honestly say, and I can say this on wax, I could say anybody who got in a beat from me, like really took it serious for whatever reason. I don't know, it's just the aura that I just put into my craft, and people just feel that. But I never had anybody, underground, mainstream, or whatever kind of BS all over, on my production. I think he just took it real serious and like, you know what, I'm gonna try something different. So having him replay my joints is crazy. I never heard a flip like that. So that was surprising to me. Like, I'm bringing in a bass player, black woman, which is even doper. Black woman, just different things that he just trying and getting like Black Thought on the record. It's crazy. That was probably the most surprising is when I got the call and he like, yo, what his engineer called me. And he was like, yo, Black Thought is on this record right here. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So something like that is like surprising to me.
I do enjoy that Juicy J record too. I thought that was cool, and hearing him, because I am a fan of his 3-6 Mafia stuff. So it's been nice to like watch him evolve and grow and experiment with different sounds. I love that, to see any artist do that. Speaking of which, JR, walk me through like your typical beat session. Do you like to start like with samples, drums, or do you have like a concept or mood in mind when you're like starting to create something?
When I'm trying to create something, I'm just free. Like I may look for some drums first. I may look for the sample first. It really just depends on what kind of vibe I'm just going for. It may not be like I'm gonna make this kind of beat today. It could just be what's inspiring to me. So I may go through, find some drums that's knocking or in a certain pocket, certain feel, or I may find a sample that's crazy. Sample that I might have found like a week or two ago or a couple of days ago. And then it's like, you know what, now I'm in the right space to try to flip this. So if I found something like soulful, I may chop that joint up like a couple of days later. So I'm just, whatever I'm inspired by at the moment, that's what I'm gonna end up, doing first, either the drums or the sample.
And Jamil, as far as like your writing process, do you like to start with the beat and have something to write behind before you get started?
That's a great question. So over the years, since I've been doing it for so long, over the years it kind of changed, right? So at first, because I didn't have any access to production, I would just write. So it was just like, I'm just writing spoken word, right? Because I don't have any beats or whatever. I ain't had no money back then. You had to have a lot of money to get beats, right? Or you had to make your own beats. But now, because I have access to production, I tend to write with beats. Yeah, that's my thing.
JR, do you build differently when you're making something for yourself versus like when you're making something for another artist?
Yeah, I do. I think sometimes I can get in a weird pocket, and it's like it could be something like I rarely hear rappers rapping on 3/4 time signature, and that was like an older thing. You go to a lot of older albums, you will hear like that time signature, a certain kind of cadence, certain kind of bounce. You more so hear that now in R&B. You hear more so on that, but I could just completely dumb out and do something weird, but finding like the artist to do something to that is kind of like the iffy part. So if I'm like with M.E.M.O.I.R.S, like I knew where I wanted to go with him. Like I know I wanted to create something jazzy, something soulful, but still like New York. You know what I'm saying? If I did something with like West or somebody, it's just in a different pocket. So something I do for myself, I just try to be super free, like open to whatever just I'm inspired by.
How would you describe like your signature sound?
Well, I'm flipping on you. How would you describe it?
How would I describe your sound?
Right.
I would say very layered. This last album, very like jazzy. You have the ability to have like a darkness to your sound, but this album I saw like a lightness, something really drum heavy, really horn heavy. I'm a child of the 90s. So like when I was listening to this, I said it has that same type of feel, same type of jazzy, like horn heavy essence that era was known for, that we loved then. So that's how I would describe it.
90s now, like 90s now, right? 90s now.
Yeah.
like I just can't really explain my sound, like, cause I'm so technical and weird, like it just little things, like even how I swing my drums, I even swing my samples. So it's just kind of just, I think you nail it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's even more that people haven't discovered yet when it comes to my sound. So it's like I said, there's a lot of weirdness that goes on. Like drums maybe ran through, weirdly through another sampler. It's just a whole bunch of like weird stuff that I just do to my stuff to make it sound like me. But I could if I put a sound on it or just really just percussion heavy, definitely. But everything that you said plus percussion heavy, like I would definitely add to that.
Have you ever had a beat rejected that ended up being a big record? We hear this all the time, like somebody turning a song down, but somebody else taking it and it ended up being like a big thing for them.
I never had this happen to me before, but I went to Arizona. But I was working for West, so it was me, Conductor Williams, Saddle Gold. Yeah, and I think that was it. Um, and we just there cooking up, and he was like, "Yo, all right, I'm ready. Play me some joints." And I played, and I was there. I think the longest. Me and Saddle Gold. And I was cooking every day. Like, I was cooking in the studio, and I'm playing everything that I made. He's like, "Nah, go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one." And I was like, "Yo, I played you everything that I felt was fire." But side B was that Hitler thing. The one with the Celine ski mask. And I was just listening to every joint that he skipped that I played. And he ended up spinning the block and that ended up turning to Eddie Kingston. So I'm like, bro, you knew this was fire from the jump. Like, but yeah, something like that would be the only time I felt that I've been rejected like that. Like, you have somebody that's like, nah, I ain't feeling this, sing me some more. All right,
Mhm.
cool. And somebody else too, but I think we just not a good parent. Not what's her name? Your old Drew. Like I sent him mad joints, and then he
Mhm.
like nah, but maybe he's not a good parent. But and that's
Mhm.
cool. The sound as an artist or producer is not gonna be for everybody. But yeah, something like that being in front of somebody and they're just rejecting you, yeah, that was the craziest thing to me.
How do you handle that? Because I know I'm a little rejection sensitive. How do you like get to handle that after a while, or build yourself to be able to like to handle the rejection?
Never take it personal. It's anything business. Like never take anything personal because um everybody's not gonna like what you do or like what you did in that moment. They may either come back or it's just not the right, the right vibe. Maybe something greater comes along, but you never take it personal. It's just business. But a lot of things just leave your feelings aside, and I believe that's how you'll win even further. It's just like, okay, that's cool. I'm just go over here, and then that could be a better door that you open.
Let's talk about the new album, Memoirs. What inspired you, JR, to take on a full project?
That's how it started. I formed a group when I was 22, and I call my brother my homie. We formed a group called Elzhi. So I started doing the one producer, one artist thing, because that's what we wanted to do. Like we was inspired by like Little Brother, a couple other people, right? So that's where that started. And now I'm just spinning the block back on that, just doing one producer, one artist type of deal. That's the climate that we in. It's a lot more
Mhm.
cohesive. It's a better opportunity to win versus there's a bunch of placements to 100 miles per hour. So that's why I wanted to do it. And plus, Mill is dope. He's dope at what he does. So that's why I wanted to do it as well.
Now, I want to ask you too, Jamil, what was it about his production that made you want to build a full project together?
I produce myself, and I get a lot of production, from other producers, and it's always, you're always gonna find something dope. You know what I mean? You're always gonna get a dope beat. You know what I'm saying, here and there, whatever. But then it turns into like when you're actually in the process of creating, it turns into the right beat, right? What
Mhm.
what gels with your spirit, what gels with your pen. So I feel like when I heard JR's production, it started clicking with my spirit.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so what I deal with just feeling a lot, So if I'm feeling it, most likely I'm gonna start, kind of like rap it to myself, or just making up different rhythms and pockets in my head. Once I start doing that, I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. It's always been like that with him and I, with his production. So yeah, it was just always easy, man.
The album is called M.E.M.O.I.R.S. What's the story behind the title?
So we were talking when we were talking about doing an album, he was like, yo, I want to create sort of an Illmatic for you. You know what I'm saying? And we started speaking on like different things that influenced us back in the day, like, the Illmatics of the world, or the Gangstar's, and or the Pete Rock and CL Smooth. And I was like, yo, I just want that sound back. You know what I'm saying? Not to say it's not here, but I wanted to tell our story I wanted to tell that story from our perspective, right? So, you have that aspect of how that influenced the title of the album. And then I said in a prior interview, I read this book called Albums by Jamil Shabazz, who is a street photographer. Yeah, world-renowned street photographer.
Love him.
Yeah. So my brother, shout out to him, he bought me the book during Hip Hop 50. The celebration of Hip Hop 50. So I read the book, awesome book. That inspired the name of the album, Memoirs, and subconsciously even the album cover, because when I was looking at the book, it's a bunch of pictures of just like old New York, like people, the barrows and the poses, the L poses and all that. And I was like, yo, what I wanted to do was I wanted him and I to take a photograph for the cover, but we just couldn't. We couldn't. Our schedules didn't align for us to do that. But I was like, yo, for what I want to do is I want to start putting, take it back to where artists put their face and their person on the album covers. So that's why you see that. But even if you look at the book, if you look up albums from Jamil Shabazz, you'll see that there's some similarities where there's different pictures on the cover and stuff like that, just like the album cover. So that was ill. I didn't even think about that. I was looking at it like one day. I was like, oh snap. Subconsciously, that inspired that as well. And another inspiration was "Do You Want More" by the Roots. The color of the album "Do You Want More" was blue. So I'm like, yo, that's kind of ill. I want that kind of, vibe. Yeah. So yeah, and then blue, I looked it up. Like blue represents like vintage and sort of an antiquated vibe. So yeah, we wanted to go with that.
Yeah, I love Jamil Shabazz's work. I have the book A Time Before Crack, and I could just sit there and look all day at all the pictures, people like in the 80s and 90s in the fashion. He has a documentary too. It's on Tubi, and he talks about like how he got into photography and used to be a CEO at Rikers. I love his pictures. I don't ever like pass up a chance to get a book. If I can get one of his pictorials, I always grab one. So now from a producer's perspective, JR, you already said like you're making like your Illmatic, but can you give me some more detail on like what was your vision for the soundscape of this project?
Just being inspired by memories that I miss, memories that I have for, I won't necessarily say a short time, because I always went back and forth between like here, like VA to New York, but just memories I may have felt. Like damn, like I told Mel about the record Go Teeth and Beepers. That joint, and then the what is it, 93 summer, 96 summer?
Summer 90s.
Yeah. But those two joints, especially Go Teeth and Beepers, like when I was making the beat, it is just adding the subway in the beginning. It just brought me back to me and my mom sitting on the train to go either to my grandmother's house or taking a cab. I just miss, like, it just brings such a nostalgia back then. Like, I miss my grandmother that passed in 2007, because yeah, she passed, and her daughter, my aunt, 7 years later, 2014, then her daughter, 2019. And that was like the core of my family. Then on my father's side, that's my mother's side, my father's side, family members that either no longer here or incarcerated. So a lot of those beats just came from a place of like the essence and what I miss. The album feels like it's like a warmth to me, like until like the end where it gets too like joyful, right? But it's like a warmth with that album that I really like. Damn, it's like it feels like somebody hugged me, like the ancestors. So it's just, yeah. I don't want to get too deep, but I'm just being honest. Like that's the soundscape that, like, I really had to sit here on my MP and like, damn, like I remember going to Coney Island. I remember when I used to go to the Shabazz Center across the street from my apartment projects that I used to stay in. Seeing M.E.M.O.I.R.S, then it's a sneaker spot right across the street at another little small shopping center. Like all those things just made me like, it made JR. Then moving to VA too, trying to get family to come down to VAO. Like leaving New York, because New York in the 90s was crazy. Like the stories that I've had, like
especially
seen and just
Brooklyn.
witnessed, like all of that was just displayed through the production. And the last song, it reminded me of like going outside the block parties. You know what I'm saying? You got the fire hydrant going crazy. You just outside with some of your homies, and you know, it. Yeah, that's a feeling right there.
Now,
I was gonna say, I love how he added a little bit of Brooklyn to that production, that particular track, Summer '90s. It seemed like you used the drums from Bucktown. I don't know, but it sounded like it. But you know, that's Brooklyn, so it was like, you know, you kind of added that spice to that, man. I always wanted to tell you that too. The Summer '90s joint.
I was listening to like while I was doing my makeup, and that's why I was saying it feels so much like how I used to feel like in the 90s. Even like I was fairly young then, but like maybe 12 or 13, but still like getting ready and just feeling like that was like, this would still be like my soundtrack, like this same type of feeling, the music feeling the same way. Like you said, it felt, very much like Duck Down. I can't explain it, but it was very much like a feeling like I'm transported to being like 12, 13 years old and in my room. And just like I said, it's something about the drums and the horns just took me to another place. So you definitely like you captured, like you did an excellent job in like capturing that feeling, because I certainly felt it listening to it.
Now, and I would say this not because of wisdom, love. Another inspiration too. Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold had
Ooh.
a lot of jazz inspired. The creator, he combined, I want to say Chicago and like New York City, or New York City and something else, like two places I think he used to stay at. But definitely that was, you know, another inspiration. I watched a lot of Hey Arnold. That was like, you know, probably my favorite. It is my favorite cartoon behind well, that's my favorite. Then regular shows, so on and so forth. But yeah, like if you listen to a lot of Hey Arnold, it's definitely jazz inspired. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about the features on this album. You have Blue, Kev Brown, Anwan, J Royale, and more. They all added like something very different to this album. How did you all pick these features, and how they would be the best complement to your lyrics, and then to your production?
I ran everything. I pretty much ran everything through JR. You know, to be honest with you, because we actually had some other records that with features that didn't make it. You know, and that's the beauty of creating art, man. You just get to mold it and shape it how you want it. You know what I'm saying? Until you get it to how you want it, and then you put it out. But yeah, I ran everything through with him. We discussed it, and we said what fit, what don't fit, and you know, we had those conversations. But everybody that's on there was supposed to be on there. Everybody that's on there contributed immensely to the project. They added, you know, J Royale added his labor to it. I mean, you know, A1, Kev Brown, Blue, Rio Noise. Shout out to them. Even the DJs, you know what I'm saying? Like DJ Grasshopper's on there like what, 3 times? Yeah, Logic was the one that's on the DJ that's scratching on Summer '90s. So everybody contributed greatly to this masterpiece.
This is for JR. When producing an entire project, something like MEMOIRS, how do you balance letting the artist's story shine with making sure that your identity and your production still comes through?
Oh, it's gonna do that regardless. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna do that regardless. But no, I don't I don't overproduce. You know, I do. I don't want to say just enough because like my production is just gonna, shine, on its own because producers like to be particular about like, oh, he used this snare, he used this. The producers just do that, but I just have the canvas and I don't really do too much. And that's let the artist be creatively free. And if I hear something that I'm like, let me get my 2 cents on because I will, because I'm trying to do what's best for the project and the record. I give my 2 cents when need be. But I'm usually like, here you go, do your thing. And then I want to see how good your storytelling is, how dope you're going to move your pen, all these type of things. So I'm just listening. But I'm just sending the production, do your thing. However it inspires you, cool. I'm not trying to dictate nobody's story because I wanted to be smooth to work with me. Like, yo, do your thing, is the production. And then if I hear something, like, I had an artist where my man was recording in the bathroom and you could hear the bathroom reverb. And I'm like, nah, bro. Because now at this point, like, even before the name, I was always JR Swiftz. But even before how y'all know me now, at least you know me now, I will always like we got to take care of the basic of the basic. Like the recording got to be good, so good that we may not even need a mix. But if we do need a little something, we could touch up the mix or whatever. But I'm not trying to be mixing bathroom reverb, and it's not good when you're trying to tweak. You do everything in post production. It don't end up sounding good. So I'm like, yo, bro, go get a chaotic ball, put on tight with the microphone, and then do your thing. So I'm always trying to do it in the best interest of the record.
For both of you, I wanted to ask first for you, JR, how do you stay inspired while evolving and maintaining your identity as a producer?
Here's the thing about me, like I listen to a little bit of everything. So it may be like today I was listening to a little bit of Four Bats new project he dropped.
Ooh.
So I was listening to that. I know a couple months ago, Give You Yawn drop. So I'm listening to that. I listen, like I just love music, and I think that's a gift that I have over others. People tend to listen to the same thing. Like, don't get me wrong, like Boom Bap is my ish. I love it, but I want to listen to something else that's going to drive a different feeling when I'm creating. And sometimes come in a different mood. Like I might throw on, like today, I'm riding around listening to ASAP Rocky. You know what I'm saying? I'm listening to that. I'm listening to the Testing album, At Last or Long Live, ASAP. I'm butchering the names right now, which is crazy. But Testing, I'm listening to just a little bit of everything. I get inspired by different things. I love 80 pop. Like I love 80s pop. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of Rick James, a little bit of Flock of Seagulls, a couple other like I just listen to a little bit of everything, and that's what draws the inspiration because I know how it felt for a long time to be pigeonholed to, yo, you're just a Griselda producer. There's nothing wrong with that, but because I got my start in that, and shout out to everybody over there. That's how I got my start. That's how y'all got to know me. But I didn't want to just be labeled with that because I'm capable, obviously, to do a lot of other things. And like I said, the trajectory changed once I did the album with Elzhi. And then even doing the dress with Pat Pools, because that was different. You know what I'm saying? And then other people from, terminology with Paul Ward, Jason J, then Fiend for MLP. So there's a lot of different things going on. So I can't be boxed in. So just listening for me, just listen a little bit of everything.
And for you, Jamel, I was going to ask, how do you stay inspired to keep creating? Because I know sometimes writer's block and creative blocks can come when it's time to write. How do you work through those things?
Consistency, and also when I'm creating, I like to kind of revert back to when I was a young kid, man, in my room in the projects, and it was like my room was like this big universe, man. I just had my imagination just ran wild, you know what I mean? So it's like I like to have fun with it. Like, okay, all right, I'm gonna talk about this on this song. I'm gonna have this concept on this album. I'm gonna use this producer because I want this particular sound. If you listen to my catalog, all my projects don't sound the same. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm using it's either a different concept or most likely a different producer. So I just like to kind of change the flavor up a little bit. Nothing in my catalog sounds like memoirs.
What is the hardest lesson that you've had to learn in this industry so far?
Patience.
Patience.
For me, everybody not your friend. Everybody is not your friend in this. You got shout out to Drake, right? No new friends, type of deal. I think that was probably like my earlier mistake, like thinking like some of the people that you grew up with, like those gonna be like the dogs, right? You may have a few people come in and be genuine, but everybody's not genuine. Like you got some people that you could call, like in the industry, that you could call like, yo, let's go, bro. You all right? You have others that it's not gonna be the same. Then it's like, all right, cool. So maybe this is just a transaction thing going on. You need something from me, I need something from you. And then we chit chat here and there. Yo, think me good. You know, here's some beats. Yo, I want this. Purchase whatever you got. Something that's like that. I think that and definitely patience. You gotta be patient. It's a lot. Everything is not meant for you. Every door opportunity is not meant for you, and you just have to enjoy. I think this is probably like a year and a half realizing enjoy your journey. It's yours. Like somebody, maybe glitz and glamour, but that may not work for you. The Most High knows what works for you. It's okay to be modest in your life. You may look around, you may feel like nothing's going on, nothing's going right. But I remember Alchemist saying in the interview that you look up at the scoreboard and you're like, damn, I actually did a lot. Like I'm really putting points up on the board. And that's me. Like wanting some of the glitz and glamour. But then I'm looking up on the board. It's like I'm putting out some numbers. Ain't enough. It's not enough numbers for me. But when you look up at that scoreboard, though, a lot of people not even putting them nearly as half.
That's
They just
right.
talking about what you did. So this is where appreciate where you are in life and in your journey. So mine is unique to me. Yours gonna be unique to you. Yours gonna be, theirs gonna be unique to them. So just appreciate your journey and what you got going on. Because what somebody else eat don't make you what? Exactly.
Shit, there you go.
Oh,
That's really
go ahead.
no, that's really sound advice about maybe I think sometimes like people there's a pressure to live a certain way or to show the world that you're living a certain way, and your journey is your own journey. Before we go and wrap this up, can y'all tell our audience where we can find your work?
You can find me Instagram, TikTok. I should get back on X, right? I should get back on there, but Instagram, TikTok, JR Swift, JRSWIF as in Frank TZ. Find me on there. Bandcamp, JR Swift VA. YouTube too, JR Swift 757. So yeah, those are, but mainly Instagram and TikTok is where you can find me at.
What about you, Jamil?
Yeah, so basically, if you want to tap into all my catalog is available on Bandcamp. So on my Bandcamp page is Jamil Honesty, JAMIL Honesty, HONESTY at bandcamp.com. And then also you can check out the DSPs, Apple, iTunes, Tidal, whatever it is that you use. Type my name in. You'll find some stuff there. I'm pretty much usually always on IG, So it's Jamil, JAMIL_Honesty. Pretty much on everything. X, Threads, Facebook. Yeah, just tap in.
I thank the both of y'all so much for joining me today on the podcast. To the audience, make sure that you listen to the new album, Memoirs. It's out now on all platforms, and I'm going to tag all of their information down in the description box. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Music and Makeup on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere that podcasts are streaming so that you never miss a new episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, Saints and Aints. Love you. Bye.